say this is not a test, that kind of thing, and then come through your TVs or something.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. Do they have like a loudspeaker for it? Or is it just like a giant
Just
siren?
like
I don't think I've ever heard it at the coast.
It sounded like a howl, obviously.
Yeah, like the
But-
tornado sirens?
Yep.
Okay.
It was loud and for several minutes.
All right.
We're live. Wow.
I can hear
This is
us.
so hard because
This
I
is
hear it
us.
through my ears.
Uh-huh.
So it's,
Do you
I'm
have
not going to be able to
hearing
watch it.
aids in?
Oh, you're trying to watch it at the same time? All right. Well, I think are we coming in live on Facebook and YouTube? It looks like.
We are on.
All right. So, yep, there we are. All right. Hello, everyone. This is Trends with Benefits. This is our weekly roundtable podcast where we gather a roundtable of experts to talk about the tech topics of the day. We're broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube right now. And I've got a question in there that I know is probably going to get a lot of different varying answers. Might be a hot button issue, but it's what is the proper order to watch Star Wars? Because today is the 40th anniversary, May 25th, 1977. That is when the first Star Wars premiered in the theater, and we've got an article that's up at Digital Trends right now from one of our writers, Keith Nelson Jr., and he watched it for the first time ever. He's 29 years old and has never watched Star Wars. I don't know where he's been living that this has happened, let alone being involved in tech and not watching Star Wars. But he watched it, and his article is fantastic. It's just kind of his opinion on it and how he watched it. And we're going to get through that. We're going to talk about this for a little bit. Yeah, there's already people are saying watch it as God intended. Okay, so we're getting a
4,
lot of
5, 6, 3, 2, 1, 7.
as God intended. Okay, so
Interesting
there's a
order.
lot of comments coming through. So we're going to get to that. We're going to
I
talk
agree
about
with Gary.
Gary's right. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that. We've got a bunch of other things. We're going to talk about a new robot that's debuted in Dubai. We're going to talk about T-Mobile's Digits system, a new AI system for your house. Lots of things. Let's introduce the cast of characters here, though. I'm your host, Craig Nibbler, and to my right.
My name is Rick Stella. I run the outdoor section here at TT.
Excellent, Rick.
Yep.
Adrian Warner, producer.
Producer. And on the end,
I'm Dan. I just wander the halls.
Dan.
Resident
nobody knows.
conspiracy theorist.
I'm not really here.
Yeah, right.
But he's here all the time. It's really hard you have to figure it out.
It's hard to schedule meetings with him.
He just shows up, wandering the halls. All right.
Who else is listening in on this meeting? We bugged the room. Yeah, of course.
So let's talk about this Star Wars thing, though. So Keith watched it for the first time, and he watched it in the machete order. And again, I want to say it's a great article. It's at digitaltrends.com. Read the article. It's really interesting to see it from somebody's perspective who is watching Star Wars for the first time, which is, again, weird to me that you make it that far, but it happens. It happens to everybody.
make it that far.
I'm not
Great.
gonna blame Keith for it. I'm just saying he did it finally.
I
so
blame
this is
his
good.
parents for it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, somebody needs to be blamed. But so he watched it through in the machete order, which the machete order is watch 4 and 5, A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back, then go to the prequels 2 and 3, then skip to Return of the Jedi, then The Force Awakens. And I take that, and now you can add Rogue One in the very first one. Yeah, Rogue One is the very first one.
Right.
And then go into The Force Awakens as the very last one. You skip The Phantom Menace altogether, which I can kind of agree with. I mean, I think you should watch it anyway. But
That's
man,
what I
it's
think a lot of
pretty
people are
bad.
saying in the comments too. Is like you got to watch it because it's a Star Wars movie. But
Yeah.
he had some interesting things to say in this article. But he did one of the funniest things I thought before getting into some of the controversial stuff is that his favorite was Episode 3.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
weird. Revenge of
You
the
know?
Sith.
Which honestly, going through my memories of watching all of them, I did genuinely enjoy that one. It didn't stand out that
Right.
much to me, but I agree with
Yeah.
that is the most entertaining. That's when the most stuff is happening.
Right.
That's when the most consequences are being acted out
Right.
I feel
among
like
the
it was
characters.
one of the most disappointing to me, too.
Really?
that possibly too.
You're like Hayden Christensen's still in this thing.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah. I mean, when he turns into Darth Vader, I mean, that's
That was epic.
yeah, that's cool. Minus the no part at the very end. I'm not so sure about that. But yeah, I mean, I can see Revenge of the Sith being good, but for me, there's no way Empire Strikes Back is not the best Star Wars movie.
No.
That's.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I
100%.
think. Dan, what do you think, though?
What my best one is? Or
Yeah.
the
What's
order?
your favorite? Both. What's your order that you would watch it in?
I
guess
would
to start
say
off.
Rogue One, then 4, 5, 6.
Okay, watch 4, 5, 6 all
I
together.
hate-
order,
I
not-
hate 1, 2. I actually hate
Yeah.
3 as well.
So you'd skip 1, 2, and 3 completely.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
I-
just go to
I-
the Force Awakens.
I mean,
Interesting.
I think you
it's,
don't need them.
yeah, I felt like it's nice kind of to have the story, but I'd honestly rather read the book
yeah,
than
and
watch those. I hated those so much.
Although
I really like Rogue One though.
I really liked Rogue One too, and it didn't occur to me until halfway through the movie that I liked Rogue One. However, I don't think you should watch it first because you're not going to care about any of those characters
Yeah, it's true.
until you've watched 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah,
So
I can agree with
it's a
that.
prequel that has to be watched as a sequel.
So
Right.
my wife is like Keith. She never watched Star Wars, and every time I try to get her to watch it, she'd fall asleep within like the first 10 minutes.
It's easy.
And has no.
To be fair, if you rewatch the original
There's-
trilogy, the dialogue is really bad and
Yeah.
it's kind of slow. And Luke Skywalker like kind of sucks.
Yeah.
you know,
But we
like kind of
all-
a pansy. I'm serious.
All
I'm
100%
serious.
true.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
went as a family and watched Rogue One, and she really enjoyed it, even though she didn't know the backstory or have any notion of what was going to happen. So
Right.
Still enjoyed the movie.
she enjoyed the movie because it is a movie that stands on its own legs, right? Like
Yes.
you don't need anything else, right?
Right.
And then I really like the fan sequence from Rogue One into 4 was
cool.
awesome.
Yep.
Like that was like that. They need to have that. Like they need to just like put that in and have that whole transition into 4.
That thing was really cool. I don't know who put that together, but that was an awesome transition into it. I mean, I like Rogue One, but I think I agree with, like, for looking back on it, I don't know how much you would really like. It's a good movie, but I don't know how much you would really care about the character.
I just did
you
not
know, if you
care
don't-
about any of them
Yeah.
until
Although they all-
until stuff started happening.
right.
I don't wanna spoil
Mostly
it
because
for
the
now, for long,
dialogue
but-
was kind of horrible.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what Keith even says in it too, and from his observation of never seeing it before, that Rogue One could have just been like a 10-minute short film, like right
True.
before Episode 4. It could have been like the tiniest of little prequels and like
Yeah.
a 2-hour fleshed out full-blown Star Wars flick, and that's like a Disney decision.
Like a
obviously. They
Pixar short at the
yeah,
beginning.
exactly right. Something that you can just like, oh, okay, so that happened, and you go right into the story from there.
Langdon is saying watch 1 and 2, then Rogue One, then 4, 5, 3, 6, 7.
I would agree with that.
I like
That-
this.
I would
one.
agree. That order?
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Revenge of the Sith is completely predictable, which is
Yes.
fair, but it's because we already watched the
You already
original
know.
trilogy. Of course, you already know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would be predictable from if you had not seen any of them.
Right.
but you have to know that something was going to be going bad at some point. But
Yeah.
just a funny comment.
I like
coming
Patrick Monty's comment.
Skip
Skip the Jar Jar ones.
From, there was one in here too that
That's
said just
fair.
like a random selection, like you just drop the movies and then whatever they fall. Like,
Oh yeah,
that
try to
was
figure
fun.
it out.
yeah.
That's true. And actually, the problem now is there's so few people that haven't seen all the movies, like test subjects like Keith, to see what works. That's there's not a lot of them out there.
Yeah.
yeah. We got to find more people like that. So, all right. Well, anyway, the article's there at digitaltrends.com. So go there. I highly suggest reading it. It's very entertaining. It's
Join in the
great
conversation,
article.
which has to be
agree or
colorful.
disagree with him
at this point.
And I highly disagree about his thoughts about Princess Leia.
Agreed.
That I'm not on board with Keith on that, but I think that's also part of the nostalgia part in that I grew up with Princess Leia. She's,
Well, like
she's
over
awesome,
years, you build
you
up
know?
this like idea of
Yeah.
what Star Wars is. That's why I say if you go back and rewatch the original trilogy, it's not as good as I think you remember.
Yeah, it's not going to mean
Probably
as much
not.
to you.
Yeah,
And
or
it's
bad.
true. Yeah, if you go back, when I watched 4 and 5, I fell asleep in both of them, even though I love them dearly.
Even though Empire Strikes Back is your favorite, right?
Yes,
You're watching it,
correct.
you're just
Even though
like,
that's the one I used to
wow,
rent
this is
from the
actually-
video store
right.
on a VHS when I was a kid. Yeah.
and just be like googly eyed over it. Now it's just like, wow, this is.
Hey, we found
pretty
somebody
dry.
who's never watched.
We
them all.
did.
Wow.
Yep.
Like, Raul, you can you can
can be
totally
test
do that
subject
for us
number
and
2.
choose a different order.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Figure out the right order for us, or just don't watch them. I'm at now. Maybe that's the badge of honor if I've never seen one. Maybe that's what it is.
And not to keep the conversation going, but what I'm more excited is when they start branching out away from the characters that we know.
Yeah,
Because
and-
like that's how the books are, and like then you have different stories happening in different timelines. I'd rather see that versus, looking at a movie that's 40 years old and going, oh, like
that's
we're
why
gonna
I'm,
Or
be in
them
this-
trying to transpose dead people onto.
Yeah.
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 That's why I'm not as excited about the Han Solo.
Well, we're going to be in that universe
I'm
for a
not
long
that
time
excited
because they're going
about
to do
it.
7, 8, and 9. Obviously, they already
Yes.
did 7.
Yeah.
And we're going to get Han Solo, and then 8, and then
8's going to be great.
and 8 is going to be great for sure. And then
Yeah.
Boba Fett, and then 9, and then it has to be something else after that. That's going to be within the same cast of people. So you're
Yeah.
not going to see. I don't think we're going to see something branching off, like really branching.
We
off
will die
for a
before
while.
this dies.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
There was an
absolutely.
article about
But
that,
that's
like
why the
Wired or something.
cartoons were so popular, though,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It was because they had nothing to do with like the current.
And still are popular.
Timeline.
Aren't they still going on? Don't they still have the animated
I don't
series?
know. Probably.
Yes, actually, I think
They
they
do,
I think
yeah.
they do. All right, see, this is why Star Wars, we can talk about this forever. But we do have to get on to some other things. And again, go there to the article, digitaltrends.com. Let your opinion be known. And keep them coming in here in the comments as we're live on Facebook and YouTube. And I'll revisit them and get those
I like your note here, though. Article is great. Keith is wrong.
Great read.
Yeah.
Oh, Keith.
Keith is so wrong. I hope Keith is listening.
Yeah, I
Great
hope
article.
so too.
Like, well done.
It is. Yeah, and if you were in this Portland office, we would definitely have Keith on
Yeah.
the show to talk about
And
this.
he had to have known he was going to get a lot of shit for it.
Oh,
he
of
had to.
course he did.
You
Yeah.
had to. Yeah, it's great.
And fame.
Yeah,
Yes.
and and fame,
Or
fame and
infamy.
infamy. Yeah.
In-
All right. Well, let's move on to some of the other trending topics that are happening right now in technology. And like I said, we're going to get to some AI news. Rick just got to try out an e-bike like on location. I want to hear all about that. We're going to talk about the scariest robotic cop that has come out yet, and there's been a lot of scary ones. This is by far, I think, the scariest. But first, T-Mobile has announced something, and this is kind of at the top of the news right now. And it's a new program called Digits. And I'll be honest, since I'm just finding out about it, I'm trying to
Yikes!
Wow.
right when I say T-Mobile, it starts
Sound
up.
works. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Turn it off.
So this is something, if you're a T-Mobile customer, you're going to be able to get this. And it's a program called Digits. And the synopsis here is it's a service that lets you share a phone number across multiple phones, smartwatches, and PCs. And trying to sum this up as far as what it would be, like you could have, for example, a sales phone number for your office, and that phone number rings to all of your sales staff. They would all get that same phone call at the same time. One person can answer it, and they can see the call history. It could ring through to your computer. It could go through to your phone. You can text from your computer. That's one aspect of it. Another thing would be is if you wanted two different numbers that ring into the same phone, so you don't have to carry around two phones. So you get your work line and your personal line, but you have to have two phones for that. You don't have to do that.
I like that.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool.
But that's pretty much what Google does already, though.
It's true. Yeah, Google does kind of. Google does really
Voice
do
or
that
whatever.
Yeah.
Google
already.
Phone.
This, I think, what they're talking about with this, like some of the other benefits are just the texting, and you can create fake numbers just on the fly. Again, though, that is kind of like
Fake
Google.
numbers
That's also
on the
Google.
fly.
Fake
would
numbers
need
on
that?
the fly.
I don't know.
The example they gave was like for Craigslist. Like if you're gonna sell something on Craigslist, you could put a phone number on there and then
smart.
just delete it. I can think of other
That's some
examples.
creepy dude in the bar.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
And they want to make sure the number works, and then you delete it
Oh,
right
yeah.
when you leave.
Look at that. Rang right through. Delete. So I don't know. What do you guys think about this? Is this something that you would want? I'm actually a T-Mobile customer, so I probably will have this. But what do you think? Is this something that you're excited for, or that you would actually utilize, or is it too much access to that phone? You'd rather just shut it off instead of
I think the
having everybody
interesting
get access.
question is why did they do it? Were they getting a lot of demand for it?
Yeah, I mean that's a good question.
Do they
I
have
mean,
like a big work account too? Like, are there a lot of people that use T-Mobile for work phones, or are they like, trying to branch into that?
yeah, I would imagine. I'm not sure. Yeah, if
It
everybody
just sounds like when you
uses
first
that.
read off what it was. I mean, my first question was just what?
who's actually going to utilize this?
Right. The Craigslist thing is a really good idea though, and then having like a personal line or work line ring in, you could have them be separate
I like
that
those
way.
two things.
Yeah, but I don't know if it would be enough for me to change over to T-Mobile.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm also probably not as a busy person on my phone. I think I get email more than anything, but phone number would be something that would
Right.
be.
I would think for like sales staffs.
I
Like
think
Yeah,
being
right.
able to have
Yeah.
multiple numbers, because I've
Yeah.
thought about like getting another phone for personal, but I don't want to go and spend more money on
Right,
another line.
right.
And I don't need all the functionality, right? I just want it as strictly just as a phone and maybe texting and nothing else. But I don't see like the whole Craigslist thing is like, come on, I sell like something on Craigslist once every 2 years.
Right. Yeah.
That's
Something,
true. I don't
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like I don't really need that.
For that one time, you
Yeah.
never know.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I think your point though, with buying another phone and buying another plan, I mean that saves you at least $90 a month if you just had this thing and you could just chalk up a whole.
That's
bunch
what
of
I was
numbers.
thinking. Was like if for families or people who are on family plans, could you just have, as long as everybody has T-Mobile phones, could you just have one plan and then a bunch of different numbers? Would that even work?
Yeah, that's a good
Probably
question.
not.
I
I
don't
doubt
think
that they'd
so.
let you
Because it would
get
ring
away
on
with that.
everybody's.
Yeah.
You know, so if like you and I shared a phone, then you were waiting for a call. From
You could have
somebody.
like one
You can already
for
do
your
that,
family.
though. Like on a normal business like thing. I mean, it's not mobile, although you can have it
Oh, I'm
set
thinking
up
about it
to call
backwards.
mobile numbers. If you have a good VoIP system for a business,
Yeah.
you can have it do like ring everybody's phone at once, or go through like a tree where it might try you first, Rick, and if
And I
you
can
don't
pass
answer,
it.
it goes
Yeah.
to me, and then it goes down the chain. I don't see that filling a need per se
Yeah.
on a business side, unless like your whole workforce is only on mobile. But a lot of those voice systems allow you to have it dial other numbers outside of your primary
Right.
numbers. So it's
Could
kind
be
of
useful for startups that don't really have that infrastructure yet.
Yeah.
That's true.
Maybe.
Right, just to get a hold of somebody.
Yeah.
And it rings on everyone's phone.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things it does, it looks like gives everybody access to the voicemail or to texting from it, via different devices. As long as
yeah.
it's
They've got to be looking to branch into
it
business.
sounds like a VoIP like a
Yeah.
way to compete with VoIP maybe.
get away
Because
from
for
it.
ordinary people, what this does, it actually cuts down on the number of lines you would need, which would actually take away,
Take away their business.
which is weird.
Yeah.
They must be looking to branch into something a little bit bigger, which
Well,
could be the business sector.
When
I
you
don't
get
know.
if you currently have an account, I think you get one for free. Other than that, I think it's going to be $10 extra a month.
I mean, that's
Is how it works. Or you get two numbers.
right.
Raul, where do
Oh,
you
yeah.
live? So I think that's a big. Raul just mentioned that he had T-Mobile for 15 years, and he just switched to Verizon, and the service comparison is huge.
Yeah.
And that he would never go back to T-Mobile. I hear that with other providers though, and actually here in Portland, I would say Verizon is not that great. I switched over to Verizon recently from AT&T, thinking that it would be better, and it's actually not. Like the data side of things is absolutely horrible for me on Verizon versus AT&T.
Weird.
I've had Verizon forever too, but I lived out at the coast, and it was great at the coast service-wise.
Yeah.
I mean, this
Yeah.
was 15 years ago, but I do notice that service is like pretty spotty around Portland. Or you have one or two
Yeah.
bars.
Yeah.
I just thought it was my phone getting old. and
Yeah,
stuff, but-
I grew up in the Southwest, and anything besides Verizon is just
Really?
useless.
Yeah, T-Mobile. I mean, it used to be really bad at the coast, like almost
Yeah,
no service.
non-existent, right.
Raul
It's
is in
better
El
now,
Paso.
but yeah, Verizon. I never had problems over on the coast, but yeah, I haven't had it here in town for years. I've been with T-Mobile for several now.
So it just matters where you're at in the
Yeah.
country. I think that's probably the bigger problem with mobile and same with broadband, is that the U.S. is so big.
Yeah.
It costs so
Yeah.
much money to upgrade the infrastructure that until they do to where we actually have something that competes with LAN and VoIP, honestly, in the major metropolitan areas, like you're going to have this debate of, is it worth T-Mobile doing these services? I don't know. If you're in
Yeah.
El Paso, then no, right?
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't. It's they got to be able to upgrade those lines and make it actually like work really, really well for data and clarity and everything.
that's
Because
the
he's
more
not going to
important
want to use it if like
infrastructure.
Verizon is better for him, like night and day for
Right.
Yeah.
T-Mobile in El Paso, Texas.
And I guess, according to this article, it's something T-Mobile's been working on for years. Like
Right.
this is their big thing that
That's
they want to push out.
wow.
So. Yeah, we'll see. Again, that article's at Digital Trends too, so go ahead and take a look at that and see if it's something you would be interested in, or leave your comments on there. I'd be curious to see what other people think. Okay, we need to get through a couple other things here too. So we've got some other stuff to
we
talk
have
about.
to?
Dubai RoboCop.
We don't have to. I have to get the Dubai RoboCop.
Yeah.
So no, wait. Star Wars though is
Star Wars, yeah. Keith.
What if you
No.
watched it?
yeah right.
In a world. All right. So I wanted to talk about this one other thing here too. Just since all of these, the home and incorporating AI and everything that's happening right now with that. Like, that's such a huge thing. With Amazon, Alexa, and you've got Google Home. This is something else that I just wanted to bring up. That's an interesting use of artificial intelligence, and it has to do with. It seems like it's kind of like one of those doorbell cameras that you can put on the front, but it's a home security system. It's called Kuna Systems, and they have a camera now with Kuna AI, and this artificial intelligence platform allows their devices to recognize vehicles outside of your home in less than a second. So you can be sitting in your living room or sitting somewhere else, and it will scan the car. It'll know if it's your car, if it's your neighbor's car. It can learn about that, or if it's a delivery car, or if it's like a UPS a driver. It can recognize those kinds of things and let you know who it is before they even walk up to your door, which I thought that was kind of interesting. I think for me personally, since I did have 2 different people living in vans outside of my house for the last 2 weeks.
I meant to ask you how that was
2
going.
people.
Yeah.
First was
Two
one
people,
lady.
2 vans?
Yeah, first it was a lady that was living in a van right outside my house, broken down van, and then her boyfriend showed up in another van across the street, and they would just go back and forth between their vans all day. So it would have been nice to have something to
Luxurious.
recognize. Okay, the boyfriend's back. But yeah, it was fun. But I think this is an interesting system, something that can scan that quick.
Right.
Also, a great way not to answer your door for anybody you don't know, which would be another use of it.
So that you could run away without them being at the door, but when
Yeah.
they're driving up,
Yeah.
and they can't see you.
I
Yeah,
think it's too early.
too early. You don't want it.
Why?
Yeah,
Well, that's what I think they're
Yeah.
they're grasping at something.
yeah.
I mean, like that's something I would want later. Like maybe when I actually care who's at my door, like the UPS guy or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I wouldn't buy a product for that.
Right. You wouldn't use this.
Now, if it had a drone,
Right. That can fly out. And,
And meet people. Hello.
like, there's that one
could just
security
have-
system that has a drone that pops out when it detects motion on your property. I would be all over that.
yeah.
Let me shock people. But
Or
or like
drones patrolling your house.
Yeah.
You know?
or if you can set like I'm away and it could recognize that you got a package delivered
Yeah.
and somebody's coming
Yeah.
to take it, then
Right.
I'd be like, that might be useful. Do something useful
Do something
with
with that. But just recognizing
Right.
the car isn't going to be enough for you.
Yeah, agreed. And I have the same thing. I mean, I live on a busy street. I live behind like a Harbor Freight,
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah.
and there's people on my street all the time that are perfectly harmless that I would never recognize. Also, in the age of like car-to-go or ride sharing, I feel like
Right.
that would be
Yep.
difficult because
That's true.
I use car-to-go about half the time and my other car half the time. And how would it recognize every car-to-go?
What's the
Yeah.
problem it's trying to solve? Is it like you're home and it's like saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, hey, you know,
Is it
the
just
delivery guy's
collecting
here,"
data?
or-
Like, is this just
Well-
an excuse to
Or
collect
like you can
data?
let the UPS guy in remotely.
Yeah. I mean, one of their
I don't even know if I would still do that.
Yeah.
leave it on the porch.
Yeah.
One of their examples, if
I'll let you in.
If a suspicious vehicle is flagged by the homeowner, Kuna AI can even trigger a siren or notify police if the car is seen again. That seems like it's going too far.
I mean, how
Like,
often?
you're just like, I'm annoyed with my neighbor. I'm going to
That's-
flag that car.
That's when we need the
Suspicious car.
the security bot to come out of the dog door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather have that.
Well, we need to get to the security bot because I've got something that's scarier than that we need to get to. But before we do that, since we're running low on time, we need to talk about what Rick was just up to, which I'm completely
E-bikes.
jealous of.
Yeah.
So where did you just get back from?
Last week I was in Palo Alto with Specialized.
Palo Alto, okay.
Their headquarters are out there in Morgan Hill.
Specialized bicycles.
Specialized bikes. Yeah. We didn't go to the headquarters, but we were in downtown Palo Alto, and they have a new e-bike out right now called the Turbo Vado. And
So how exactly does an e-bike work?
Thank you.
That's,
I don't know.
like the
so
base
I
level.
was kind of skeptical about it, and I'm actually putting together an article right now. Here you can watch the video here for people tuning in. I thought it was just like it would basically run like almost like a moped or a motorcycle, but it's actually a pedal assist electric bike to where the motor actually kicks in once you start pedaling. And there's
like
three
that.
different like modes. So turbo is like the super fast one. Sport is where you actually need like a few more pedals before it kicks in. Then eco is like you need to like really be pedaling as you go along. We rode mainly, we had a huge, there's a bunch of journalists with us plus a bunch of people from Specialized. So we rode in a group of like 25 people. We looked like a bike gang around Palo Alto when we were out there. Yeah. But we had like,
Watch out.
we had like the turbo mode on. So it's like within literally one pedal, you can feel it kick in and you can go.
Whee!
And we were, for
So it
two,
just feels like you're pedaling incredibly fast, or like how
kind
does
of.
it-
Well, you can set the different like resistances and the
Okay.
gears, you know. So, but we were cruising around the neighborhoods at like 15 miles an hour and not breaking a sweat.
Wow.
And just like cruise around to use it as like a commuter bike one day. It was like a 20-mile ride we went on as like a commuter,
And then a normal like bike ride.
and then
So-
the next morning we went on like an
That's
actual
cool.
bike ride.
Here's the question: How
Yeah.
much are they?
$5,000, which is about the same as like a really nice mountain bike.
Yeah. Or
So-
a really nice
Okay.
racer
That's around
bike.
Exactly.
how. So these have been around for a while.
They have, yeah.
and they've always been around 3,000 to 7,000
Yeah.
like range.
The range, yeah, depending on. I mean, Specialized makes nice bikes, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
yeah, that's a high-end
And
manufacturer.
this is their electric bike system has always been called Turbo. This bike specifically is called the Vado. It's like meant for commuting, you know.
I like the idea.
Yeah, so
because-
I came around to it.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
I live, around 18 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
With traffic in the morning, it's about a 40-minute to an hour drive
Mm-hmm.
one way. But on a bike, it would be fun because it's
Oh, yeah.
mainly downhill, like without
Yeah.
pedal assist. It'd still take me a little while, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't have to deal so much with the traffic on the freeway. There's ways you can go that have bike trails.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So the pedal assist, I think, is a great way to commute, especially long distance, and then especially coming back because it's
Right.
mainly uphill all the way, and I would dread that
Yeah.
ride.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and
that's-
so we did the 2 20-mile rides, and after each ride, we're at about 40% left of the battery. So you could come and charge it here and then go back. They're going to
Yeah,
send one.
very
You should
nice.
try it because when we went uphill and we went up like some pretty steep hills in Palo Alto that like road cyclists are like are known to ride a lot, and they're like super tough. And we were blowing past people like 22 miles an hour uphill.
That's
with
awesome.
while
that's pretty
pedaling.
great.
No hands,
Pretty much.
sippy cup.
Right. We kind of broke a sweat because it was hot in Palo Alto
Yeah.
and sunny, and like we were like really cooking on these.
Yeah.
But you could like ride eco downhill all the way here, and then like use the turbo to get back, and like it would be perfect for you, and you would get here in way less time than it would take you to drive.
The
That is-
design of these is also really nice. Much better than any
Yes.
e-bike.
I
I've
need,
ever
absolutely.
seen.
I
Yeah.
need 2 of those so that I can go to the wine bar on a Saturday.
Only takes like
Yeah,
6
your
hours to
wine bike.
charge. It's not too bad. You could charge it during the day to get it back up to 100%. And like, yeah, they're fun. Like, and they look nice. We were on like
Yeah.
bright yellow ones, so we definitely stood out. But there's a
Yeah.
range of colorways. But yeah, I thought it was great. And like, I went into it kind of skeptical because like if I'm biking,
Yeah.
I want a bike. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not doing it to like, get a moped or something. But this
Yeah.
was like just the perfect amount of cardio while still like kind of getting you.
That is really nice.
quicker.
Getting where you
Saves
need
the
to be.
battery. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, when you're pedaling, I'm sure it also does a little bit of regen, right?
Yeah. I don't know about regeneration, but at least like the more you pedal, I mean, the less it's going to be using.
So
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
was the
Okay.
connectivity with it as well? Didn't it have like? It would
Oh,
tell
there was
you
an
the-
app, yeah. So you could have an app that would kind of tell you, obviously, like if you need maintenance or what the battery levels were. And we didn't. The app wasn't ready when we were there, so it's still they're still kind of in the works. But it's going to be like a full blown app that allows you to keep track of your rides. You can share with friends, and so it's sort of like that, sort of like social.
That's
aspect
pretty
of it,
cool.
too. Yeah,
That
it
is
was
really
great.
cool.
I had a really good time, and like I said, they're going to send me one to test around Portland for a full on review. So
Fun.
So you know
Try
how
it
you
out,
had the
man.
Vespa gangs?
yeah.
We need like e-bike gangs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony, we looked like an e-bike gang. We were all on yellow bikes with black.
Can you
helmets
imagine
on,
a naked bike
rolling up
ride
on
here in
people in
Portland?
Oh,
e-bikes?
it's e-bike.
Holy shit! Yes, that's so funny. It's not on Specialized. They're not gonna want it back. You know, like yeah, so we went on the Portland naked bike ride with it. They're like, you can keep
But
it.
they should sponsor it.
Yeah, exactly. This Specialized naked bike ride.
Oh my gosh.
But we'd be like going past people like biking uphill, and they're like, "Why are you guys going so fast?" We're just in like shorts and t-shirt, just like hanging out, sunglasses on. Like
Were they
We're
heavy?
enhanced.
While the dude in
people.
spandex is
they were
struggling
pretty
to get
heavy.
up
I
there.
want to say they're like 50 to 60 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it wasn't too bad. I mean, people were. I mean, you can lift it up two
Yeah.
hands. It would be like if you're putting it on the rack here or something, might be kind of heavy, but it would still hold it.
Okay.
Or you could just put it in your office too, or put it up against the
Might
wall.
pull the holder off the wall.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm in. I want to try one because
They're rad. Yeah, I had a good time on it.
behind the camera, Dan and I were talking beforehand because if we were to ride our bikes here, like it's downhill most of the way, it's fine. But going back home,
Same.
5 o'clock and it's 80 degrees out, it's not that fun. There's a hill near my house that I call Mount FU because I hate it, and I hate this hill. And so,
Yeah.
but I have to go over it. So if I had this, that would help out a lot.
And that's sort of the thing. They wanted to be a commuter bike that you can commute for miles, like 18 miles, and not be sweaty when you get to work. You know,
Yeah.
no matter what it's like outside.
All right. Well, so there. This article's up at Digital Trends
Not
now?
yet. No, it will
The
be.
review.
It'll
Okay.
run this weekend. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, check that out. Well, let's get to our last topic here, and
RoboCop.
I've been teasing it. It is the RoboCop, and it really is a RoboCop that is that's happening.
Like,
Well, it's
quite
not part
literally.
human, I don't think, but it is something that's happening in Dubai, and they just announced this on Tuesday that they've got a new robotic police officer that's going to be part of the Dubai police force. If you're watching the video right now on here, this is from the company that made it, so it's showing some of their other robots. It's a company called PAL Robotics, PAL Robotics, which
Pal.
that sounds like something
Yeah.
from a movie.
Oh
But
gosh.
PAL Robotics, so they've
horror
come up with
movie,
this.
He even like has his mouth.
I'm your
covered.
little pal.
Yeah.
And I will kill you.
Yeah.
Comply.
Oh, good.
Comply,
Yeah, he
friend.
does need a helmet. That's for sure. They're putting helmets.
Yeah.
And a sweater.
Yeah, the actual cop.
needs an
and
e-bike.
I've got some pictures. There is a picture of the actual cop. They've got an.
Oh my gosh, the hat is
I love he's got a
great.
hat.
I love
into
the
it.
hat.
I also love how his arms are like way far out.
Yeah.
Like, don't mess with
Even
me.
he doesn't know what to do with his hands in the photo. You know.
Yeah.
I must break you.
Oh, hello.
So there, I guess
Wow.
it. Let's see. It stands a not too imposing 1.5
eyes
meters,
are a
weighs
little too wide.
220 pounds. It's got a touch screen display on its torso that can be used to report crimes and even pay for fines such as traffic violations.
No one's
So I
gonna
mean,
do
this thing
that.
just blocks your car. Pay me.
Right.
You know, so you
Stand
gotta-
to leave. Yeah,
Yeah, you gotta pay
Oh
it.
my gosh.
What happens if you like, you're part of a team that's like gonna rob a jewelry store or something, and you're
Yeah.
like part of the plan is, oh, you got the RoboCop over there. Go like get like your speeding ticket fine and go distract him. Like
Go report a crime.
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah.
You know.
yeah.
I heard somebody was knocking over a bank on the other side of
Hold
town.
him up.
Gotta distract it. Yeah. Where?
Yeah, right. On the way as it's just slowly walking
Are these
out.
just operated remotely or?
So it's
they
both.
autonomous?
It can be piloted remotely or autonomously. It can navigate
Ooh.
and do things on its own. And
Horrifying.
That
Yeah.
autonomous level, that's something else. I
Does
don't
it
know
have a
about
gun?
that.
that's an ex.
a
Does
good
not have a gun.
Can it chase you?
What's that?
Can it tase you?
It doesn't say it can tase you. I wouldn't be surprised if that's an add-on you can do because there's a robot in China, I think it is, that can tase you.
A little maul.
That's a
Yeah.
tase.
Yeah,
that
it has a
can
little
tase
thing.
it.
Can you knock its hat off?
That I don't think it looks
Or
like
is
it's
it
welded on there. I
attached?
think it's
Yeah.
attached on.
like
Otherwise, just knock the robot's
That's the
hat
only
off.
way to identify it.
Damn you!
It didn't have that hat.
How dare
What's
you?
up, robot?
Yeah. You dweeb. Nerd. Nice hat.
Spray paint his eyeballs.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, people are gonna be tagging those things. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, trying to knock it over, but it's 200 pounds, so I doubt you'll be able to. So they're saying one of the Dubai police, one of their spokespeople said, with it has an aim to assist and help people in the malls or on the streets. The RoboCop is the latest smart addition to the force and has been designed to help us fight crime, keep the city safe, and improve happiness levels.
So it's been.
Improve happiness.
This is.
I love the
This is a
translation.
next gen mall cop.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's not ever gonna be on the street. corner.
No.
It's gonna be on the street of the malls.
Well, that's what they're saying, but here's the other thing
Paul Blart Mall Cop 3 RoboCop.
that they also said.
He's gonna wake up and won't know what he is.
Yeah, right.
What have I done with my life?
too, right?
Well, Dubai is saying that they want these robots or something like them to make up to 25% of their police personnel by 2030. Like in the next 12 years.
So
basically.
Dubai is a pretty safe city, right?
Yeah.
I would think.
So
I mean, it's a very
maybe
wealthy
they don't
city.
really need a lot of police. They just need people or robots that
parking
can
tickets.
provide information.
Yeah, and I would imagine
Maybe.
that, like, as a being a beat cop, I guess in Dubai, are there beat cops in Dubai?
Couple of
Like,
robot
it's-
cops in
They
a
can handle
black and
the
white.
heat.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
insanely
Yeah.
hot. No,
Yes.
exactly. It's insanely hot, and like if you're just doing mundane stuff like handing out tickets,
ripping
is
parking
actually
tickets, right.
makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense.
That's true. I could see it along those lines. Their other plans are to have the world's first smart police station containing 0 human employees. That's what they want to go for.
Could you
This-
imagine
this
being taken to
scares me,
jail
man.
then?
This
With
is
no humans?
terrifying.
That's why I'm saying
This
this is
scares.
scary. Like,
yeah, because when you start relying on something that doesn't have emotion, like say like
Or
10 years from
morality.
now, like
Yeah,
if their
it can't
goal is
make a
10 years,
judgment.
yeah, like
That's soon.
how's that? I mean,
there's no judgment call on
That
it.
freaks
You're
me
right
out.
though.
Yeah.
That moral judgment thing where it can be blurry sometimes depending on like what is actually going on, but it's just gonna go by the book.
Right. Like, nope, you are in violation.
and what if it just starts making its own book?
Yeah.
But also, like, what if
robot
you know?
book, yeah.
That's where
you
it's
have,
happening.
You have a blank slate with no like bias, racial bias, gender bias, anything like that. Like,
What if it gets hit by
No
wannabe?
precedent. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
What?
that's true.
Yeah.
That's
There's
true.
malware going on there.
Yep.
They forgot to update the RoboCops.
Some
Oh,
kids
yeah.
just controlling all the RoboCops
right.
at his
Maybe
house.
they
That's
have
right
like
for-
the secret bypass that
corrupt
people find out like
RoboCops?
all it is a USB
That's
plug
true.
and like
That's
Yes.
why we need Conspiracy Dan on here.
Yes.
That is
I
exactly
just
it.
bought drugs from a corrupt RoboCop. It was crazy.
it was awesome.
I'm gonna totally like reprogram it to go rob the gold machines that are in the malls, right? Like
Yeah. I mean,
That'd
that's
be great.
that's true.
The
big
gold
machines?
the gold machines.
Yeah, I'll take one.
It's Dubai. Isn't everything
Two
made of
of
gold?
Dan's
Or,
Yeah, right.
favorites.
they have
There.
those gold bar dispensing machines
In
the
Dubai?
malls. Yeah. You guys have never heard of that?
No.
Yeah, you can buy gold out of vending
Of
machines.
course you can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
Wow.
That just sounds like something that Dubai would have.
Yeah.
Well, there it is. So
They'll
that's
carry your
the
gold for
robot.
you.
You can check that out
Send it to us.
at digitaltrends.com. You can take a look at the Dubai RoboCop and let us
You
know
know the
what you
way
think of
to get away from them? Just go in the ocean.
Oh right.
that. No,
Yeah.
Or the
Wait,
beach.
where in
Or the beach,
Dubai do
right,
I
yeah.
go into the ocean?
The ocean's right there.
Right. Yeah. Come on in. Come on.
Yeah, come on, buddy.
Someone's robbing something right out there in the middle of the river.
All right. Well,
Or climb.
check that all out at digitaltrends.com. And thanks, everybody, for tuning in today. This is Trends with Benefits. This is our weekly roundtable podcast. We talk about all the tech topics of the day. And, we've been talking about Star Wars and everything we discussed on the show. There are articles at digitaltrends.com that you can go and take a look at. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and Stitcher, wherever you get those, because there's always an audio podcast that'll come up, and so that way you can get it right away. And join us every Thursday, live at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time for whatever we're talking about. It changes each week. Let us know.
Trends with Bennies.
Trends with Bennies. That sounds weird when you say it like that. Trends with Bennies. Join us. All right, so we'll be back next week with another episode.
This comment right here.